I'm Sam Taggart with Can't Knock This, host of the first ever Door-to-Door Con, bringing professional collaboration to the direct selling and door-to-door industry. Go register your seat for our event, January 2018, at doortodoorcon.com. All right, while he's checking, this is Josh and Josh. We got the two Joshes. So these guys are some of the legends of satellite. I mean, you guys, what was the first year you got into it? This is an Atlas dinosaur, guys. Like, if you're watching this or listening to this, Josh is an Atlas original. I mean, some of the OGs came from Atlas. Yeah. And he is, so a little bit about Josh Sluyther, right? That's how you say it. So Josh he's built a, from nothing, one of the largest retailers that then merged with Dish One. And they did over 15,000 accounts within 3 years' time. So a lot of people that are watching this are maybe some small little rep or manager trying to build. I mean, if you're watching this is the podcast to probably listen to. And these guys do year-round offices, so they know how to build and recruit year-round people. We're going to dive into that a little bit. And Josh Honea over here sold, what was your best year? 714. So over 700 accounts. I think that's the most satellite account rep I've interviewed so far, so congratulations.
Yes, sir.
And this year did over 5,500 accounts managed. So not only is he like beast mode sales rep, and we're going to dive into your approach. Like, I actually am excited about that because we're going to do a little role playing and objections, and it'll get fun. But we're going to dive in. This is a double tag team podcast. So those of you guys listening, you get a 2-for-1 today. You don't have to listen to 90 minutes. You just got to listen to like 45.
Perfect.
So tell us a little bit about. Okay, I want to kind of start with Sluyther over here. I can't say Josh. I'm like, I gotta say like last names. I want to dive into kind of how you got started and then the relationship here. The reason why there's kind of a unique reason why we have both you guys, because it kind of long lasting relationship. So kind of how'd you get into it, and then how'd you muscle this guy into it?
Well, I started with Atlas as a technician. I was too afraid to do sales, actually. I thought it sounded like a joke at the time. I didn't think door-to-door sounded like not a real job, right? And so I did the installs, but I realized the sales reps were making more money, and then I picked up and started to do the sales kind of on the side. By the end of the year, I'd done more installs than anybody else. It was the first summer Atlas they did an office in Arizona, so I didn't have to leave home or anything like that for my first summer. And by the end of the year, one of their executive guys pulled me aside and said, "You did more installs than anybody else, and you also sold more than most of our first-year reps. How did you do it?" And that's when I realized kind of like, oh, I'm kind of good at this, I guess. And so I asked him, I was like, I want to do this for a career. And I thought I could do anything. I could own the next Best Buy or something like that, as a kid. And I said, I can move down to Tucson. I know the area really well, and I can sell and install and do it all myself. And I moved down there and started doing that. And, over the years, they pulled out, and I ended up working for some other retailers. And kind of that's how I got started, I guess. Working for a retailer, I played volleyball all growing up. And that's kind of how I met him. Was they had a volleyball team starting up in Tucson for the high school, and I really wanted to coach. And I went and did that. I didn't get paid anything. They don't really pay coaches at all. And so I coached. We made it to state. I ended up recruiting this guy.
Yeah, your recruiting pitch wasn't very good, bro. This is what he tells me. He goes, so you don't play volleyball because you're gay or what?
But it works.
Now he knows that like the way to get me to do something is tell me what I can't do. And that'll work. So
no, I think anybody listening to this, that'd be a good recruiting pitch. You go up to a student at college and be like, "Hey, you don't sell door to door because you're gay."
Because you're gay or what?
Because you're gay. Like, I mean,
I'm not gay. Prove it.
Oh, prove it. Do you really have cojones? Because I mean, only men.
It worked on me. I don't want to be gay. So.
That's going to go over real well in today's universities.
Exactly.
Can you even say gay or fat
Oh,
anymore?
I'm sure we're going to be. Just kidding. No, this is straight raw. So we're about to get more raw. I'm excited about this story. So you guys go way back. What year is this? Like you're in high school playing volleyball.
2006, 2005.
And then you're like, this guy's a stud. Like he should sell. Or how'd that? I mean,
He actually kind of approached me. I mean, we'd become pretty good friends. We were hanging out anyways. He was the best player on our team, so I spent a lot of time with him anyways. And then he said, Coach, you always have money.
What do you do for work?
Yeah, can I work with you? And I was like, do you think you can knock doors? And we started knocking doors and doing that for a while. And then I ended up like getting out of it. I wanted to start a skate shop. And I started a retail skate store selling watches and skateboards and all that. And then gave him whatever I had with this retailer we worked for. And
at that time, we were both selling and installing our own deals, remember?
Yeah, I taught him how to install.
Yeah, I hated installing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we had a few installers, but they weren't always consistent. Anybody that owns a retailer can tell.
The best part
how
is
that
like
goes.
you get someone signed up, and you're like, so I got the equipment right here. I can just hook you up right now.
Did you like
Talk about
exchange
same day.
shirts or like
We
change
invented-
hat?
We invented
we
the
just
same
day.
day.
You
dressed like
started-
technicians.
yeah.
We started same
You wear
days.
tool belt
Yeah.
sewing? Or
We
like,
were same day.
do you have a satellite dish on your shoulder when you knock?
Hey, super quick. Did you want this
Hey,
right here? Or?
where can I plug in? It's like, that's your assumptive pitch.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
No, actually, that's funny that because there's one time I had this cancel, and I literally go up, and the technician had forgotten to take the sign out. You know how you have like the little yard sign? And I was all pissed. I was like, you don't get a free sign. You canceled. And so I go steal a sign. I'm like walking around the neighborhood. I'm like, what am I going to do with this sign? So I knock a door. I knock the next door, and I'm like, hey, where do you want your sign? He's like, what? I was like, is this a good spot? Put the sign in. I'm like, hey, we just picked you. Let's
you
go.
sign right here?
And then I literally sold it. And I was like, man, this is a great pitch.
He invented the sign
And
pitch.
that's like the legit sign pitch, like carrying a sign. Is this a good spot for what? Your sign. Boom. Let's go.
Don't let ADT hear that.
Yeah,
man.
that's the serious side.
That's
to
a serious.
no, so then you guys kind of built. It sounds like you kind of went separate ways for a minute, and then kind of circled back around. Was
Yeah.
that due to the relationship with your sister, or how'd that? I mean,
Whoa.
how did that?
It's
I
all
mean,
one story.
yeah, I mean, where did that come from?
Well, I started a retailer. I went back after doing all that skate shop stuff. I went back and got back into it. The money was just too good. And
You mean
after the real-
skateboards, satellite, door-to-door, skateboards didn't pop that?
I know, right?
You're the next
You
Milo
should.
Sport or like Quicksilver,
I tried, I was
Quick
working
Gold
hard
or
at it.
something?
Yeah.
Bitcoin?
Let's talk about Bitcoin.
I know.
Is this a Bitcoin
This
podcast?
is I actually have a YouTube channel separate for Bitcoin. We won't get it.
Oh, man.
That's tomorrow. No, I'm just playing.
So I got back into it. I was working for a retailer again, and I did that for another year and a half, I think, and then I just started my own business. I'd done that for about a year, and I knew this guy wouldn't leave. He started a pool business, and he was doing pretty well. I think we were making like 80 or 90 grand a year with your own pool business.
Arizona, everybody's got a pool, right?
Yeah.
Oh, straight up, And this guy was like splash and dash. He'd work about 6 hours a day, and he was making 80.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Yeah, I know. Not even a hard work. Hopefully, none of your customers.
You were like
see
that
this.
hot pool,
Yeah, right.
pool boy going up,
Dude, that's what
hitting
everyone
up
always,
the AZ
You
moms
wear
over
your
here.
Speedo, get hit on by the old. Yeah, okay, cool. Never heard that one before, bro.
That's why he got out.
Yeah.
He's like, after I got raped a few times,
Yeah.
that's
all
funny.
the gay pool owners.
This is the X-rated podcast,
yeah.
guys. If you're listening, we'll try to keep it more PG. Luckily, my listener audience is like below the age of 14, and we've got a young.
Oh, perfect.
Sales reps, maybe like IQ. of the
Yeah,
average
yeah,
sales rep.
exactly.
Where are we?
Okay, so let's dive into you. Like, Ken, what's your story? Kind of how'd you?
So, I mean, yeah, we started working satellite after high school time. Got out of it, started cleaning swimming pools. And then I started my own business of swimming pools. That was going very well, like he said. And he actually just approached me one day. Was just like, "Hey, would you mind like selling some accounts on the side for me as I start my business?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, he's like, "Can you just answer some phone calls?" I'm like, "Sure, whatever. My job's pretty easy. I'll take some phone calls." They start coming in. I start making sales calls over the phone, and just then he'd offer me a position of say, "Hey, we're going to expand into Tucson from Phoenix, where he was at the time." And he's like, "I need someone to manage Tucson." I was like, "No, I can't. I've got my pools." And he kept hassling me about it. I kept telling him no. I just just kept doing my thing, and then.
The money from the calls was stacking up, and you were like,
Yeah.
well, I
I'm
knew
like-
it was like an inch at a time with this guy.
Sometimes that's what it takes, though. Like, that's an interesting principle of, like, persistence and just, like, staying in their ear. Because usually the good ones don't come, like, first call, like, hey, you want a job? It's like, no, they're obviously successful in what they're doing. And that's probably a common trait that they're going to be successful where you are. Therefore, it's going to take a little bit more time to, like...
Yeah. Well, the thing is, too, is I don't want to go from owning a business to selling door-to-door cable. Like, that's what.
Yeah. What did you tell your mom? I mean, that would be a tough one.
So that was the thing, right? So yeah, and then finally he just like, I need to know. At one point, he's like, I need to know, or else I'll get this guy that I'm going to give it to if you don't do it. I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it. I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. So
if you're gay,
you want to do it because you're gay, or what?
Use that close again.
Yeah, it works every time.
I love it.
So yeah, and then I sold my pool company and started doing this full time.
Cool.
Never looked back.
So what has been some of your favorite moments so far?
Of door to door?
Yeah.
Oh man, I love the selling process. I love the guys we work with. I love making the money that we make here. The culture. We
gave you the new name, The Office, today.
The Office, yeah.
Because when Sluyther, I'll fill you guys in. We had some fun chats before this. We won't bring some of it up, but but no. So Sluyther would call him. Tell me kind of what you told me earlier. Like,
so I'd call him up basically at the end of the day. We didn't have sales right back then; it was all paper. And I was like, "So how'd your day go?" And he'd always tell me, oh, so-and-so we got 15 deals. I was like, cool, how'd everybody do? And he'd be like, so-and-so got one, so-and-so got one, so-and-so got a couple, and I got 10. And I'd be like, bro, I didn't hire you to, like...
I try to, like, hide it, too. Like, oh, yeah, we did pretty good, yeah, so anyway, I gotta go. Before you'd ask me, like, how many did I get,
Yeah.
So I guess that's an interesting thought, though, is because there's always this weird transition, because obviously this year doing 5,500 accounts, you had to obviously learn how to duplicate yourself and train and not be just the 700-plus sales guy. How many did you do this year?
I don't know, I guess 300 or 400 probably.
Yep, sorry, you didn't get the
Yeah.
Golden Door Award. Sorry, didn't qualify.
Yeah.
No, but at the end of the day, you had this transition of, like, I'm still out hustling 300 to 400, that's really good, but you also... were able to impact and inspire a lot of people, right?
Right.
So what kind of was that click between, oh, I gotta not just be the office, I gotta teach people to be my office?
Well, a lot of influence from this guy right here, but it's just, I didn't want to do this forever, right? I mean, he still knocks if he needs to go throw down for a competition, throw in 9 or 10 deals, but I don't want to have to carry the team on my back for so long. I want to build a business and build that out. So, in sacrifice of my own personal sales, I was traveling from office to office and helping them and getting them going, recruiting or training those guys and stuff. So I like it though. I like not being able to have to sell my own accounts, except for when I see competitions and I'm like, ooh, I just want to go work at the sale competition.
That itch.
Like, but
so what? I guess this is a good question for either one of you guys. Like, what drives you? Like, what's the big motivation? Obviously, you had the big accolades of being top reps, and you had the big accolades of getting offers from massive companies for over $1 million. But like now, at this moment in your lives, like what keeps you motivated and wanting to grow and expand, and kind of what's the next steps?
Oh yeah,
you go first. You're the visionary, bro.
Oh gosh. I would say people. I really genuinely, anybody that works with me will tell you, I think sometimes I'm as close to them or closer than some of my family even. Like, you get to know these guys you work with, and I think the bond you make when you go out, and I say this all the time, when you go out and you bleed in the streets together, it's like, it's some of the deepest connections you'll ever form in life, and as long as you
write that down.
As long as you stick to principles and treat people the right way, and always value them above any kind of compensation, monetarily anyways, then I think these relationships can last a lifetime or more, I guess, so.
The impact is huge. That's a big one for me. Like, obviously it's great to make a lot of money and buy the things you want to have and all the stupid things that, cost a lot of money.
Tesla.
But Teslas.
Or that little bicycle outside.
Oh, yeah. Hilarious.
I pull up, anybody listening to this, I'm like, there's like a big truck. I'm like, I'm assuming that's Sluyther's. Like, there's really no other cars here. Then there's this little teeny bicycle.
Like a kid's bike.
Like a kid's bike. I was like, oh, that's probably Honea. I was like, oh, he probably just rode his bike here. Typical.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
His little
Sorry, keep
tight,
going.
tight muscle shirt.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. The impact. So for me, it's just be able to pass that on and to have my guys and see their success, or to see a rep make their first comma check, or to see one of my guys buy their first car. Like honestly, like last week, one of my managers bought his first house.
Wow.
So like for me, that's like that does it for me. Like just to be able to see those guys that I know, love, and care about, to get to those places in life is like it's so rewarding to be able to see that and be like, dude, I had a part in that. So
yeah, it's like
that
they
part
see
I
you
love.
as like an influencer, a mentor, and it's kind of like this feeling of like, yes, like
Yeah, it's
made
like
them
my
better.
kids,
Yeah.
I think the best sales managers or regionals or whatever would probably be really good teachers or coaches. It's just there's no, with the country the way it is or whatever, it's like there's no real way to take care of your own family by doing that.
Yeah.
And you basically get to do the same thing every day, and you're teaching life. I mean, the principles are omnipresent there. If it's a good principle in door-to-door, it'll work in the rest of your life.
And so you've kind of taken that to the next level. Like you've taken your son and daughter, how old's your kid?
14.
14, boy or girl?
Boy.
Boy. So, I mean, those that are listening, like one thing I thought was really interesting about you is like how you've integrated your family life into those principles and showing people the principle, like your kid, the principles you learn on the doors. Kind of talk to me about that and like what your thoughts are.
I actually have been on this a lot lately. I feel like it's everybody talks work-life balance. We were talking about that, and I don't think work-life balance is really what you're trying to achieve, because if you're balancing, you're always cheating something. You're going to resent your family life, or you're going to resent your work life. But if you can find a way to integrate the two, then you're never really cheating any of it, but you're also giving. I mean, your kids go to school to learn things, but if you can include them in your work life, you're going to give them an education, and they can take that with them, into their school lives or into their work lives eventually and everything. And so I think beyond that, even you get to see. I mean, really, what we're doing is we're not teaching people to sell. We're teaching people how to be better men, or better fathers, better husbands, and better neighbors, just better people in general. And I think that in our position as managers or regionals or VPs or whatever, or owners, we have an opportunity to show our coworkers or our reps or whoever, how to be a good person versus just be a good sales rep. And I think that if they can figure out how to be a good person, it'll translate over into their sales, and the consequence will be more sales and all that stuff anyways. But
yeah, I mean, taking, like you said, you took your son out on the doors. I mean, what principles do you feel like he took away from just even that small experiences, like going out there with you?
We ran door to door. We were chasing Chris Malink, and Chris Malink did beat us by the end of the day. I'll give him his props. We finished with 9, and Chris got 10 for the day. But
yeah, but I mean, those that are listening to this, I remember there was a guy that posted on the Can't Knock This group, and it was like, yeah, I did 3 today, and it's like these guys are doing like 9s and 10s, like, and you had a straggler with you the whole time. You know, that's impressive. Like,
yeah, but he ran door to door. He stayed positive the whole time. So, I mean, this wasn't his first time knocking doors, mind you, but we ran door to door. We knocked our last door. We got out of the last house after 11 o'clock, and then met everybody for dinner at the only place that was open out there. So,
but how cool is that? Like seeing his dad in his element. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I think it's so funny because like a lot of times we kind of like hide our job. Like it's almost like my parents are like, "What do you do?" Or like your grandma or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like your kids are probably like, "Well, how do I get into like I want to be part of my parents' life?" And it's like the more you can let them in that aspect, I think it's huge. Like, I mean, I started knocking doors when I was 11, and I attribute like my whole success because all through high school, all I did was door to door, and it was like. It taught me the school of hard knocks. Like I learned more from just like getting my face kicked in.
Absolutely.
And just having like a kid see the difficulty life has from a young age is massive.
Learning to laugh at people who answer the door rude or yell at you or cuss at you or whatever it is, and
deal with rejection.
learning, deal with that and laugh it off.
What
and
creates
then
a man?
The next day, I actually made him. He had to do every pitch, and so he had to overcome stuff.
Wow.
I had to jump in. I'm not like trying to make it sound like more than it was. Like I had to jump in after he did the initial pitching and knocking.
But
and
you
stuff
made
like
him
that.
like get his little skin under the, you know what I mean? Like, oh,
Yeah, it was.
get the wiggles out.
It was fun. He definitely was trying really hard to be natural at the door. So it was good. It was good for
That's
me to see
awesome.
that in him and everything,
But it's not easy, a 14-year-old kid going out and freaking selling satellite. That's
No.
awesome.
Not at all, but it definitely brought us closer. I think that's the big thing is like it's basically a hunting trip or a fishing trip.
Yep.
Except it has practical application beyond. I mean, not that hunting doesn't, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's business. It's teaching. It's putting them in the real world. It's like life's not all rainbows. It's like let's go see the dirt.
yeah, especially for like you or I or half of the people listening probably or everybody listening. I mean, we live because we are proficient at sales. We live a totally different lifestyle. Like. I just even when I first started, I remember looking at things and not thinking that costs $300. I was like, oh, that costs 2 sales.
Yeah.
It's one sale.
We still do that.
Whatever it is. You know, like,
It's like 5 sales.
yeah,
It's currency.
whatever. Yeah, you don't think you just think differently because there's no such thing as like working overtime. It's just like I'll make as much as I need to make to buy this thing. No, there's no such thing as even savings really. Like you just when you're selling so. And to not let that translate into your children's lives is pretty difficult when you're able to go and buy a Tesla or buy, $1 million homes and things like that. It just, I don't know. I grew up really, really poor and lived in my car when I was younger. And, a part of that is what made me who I am. I'm grateful for the things and the hard things I had to deal with because it made me who I am. And I'm kind of robbing my children of that. And so I have to find a way to give that to them, right?
Yeah, it's powerful. Like, I mean, you see, like, the spoiling of this generation sometimes, like, how detrimental it is sometimes if you rob them of that rawness of, like, having to work and having to get dirty and going through hardship, you know what I mean? I feel like that's one of the biggest problems in society is parents think they can delegate parenting, and they think that they can just, like, their kid's going to grow up and be an all-star, you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah. Everybody gets a gold medal.
Yeah, so
Participation award.
I want to dive a little bit more into sales. Hold on, I gotta reset this. But so for you, Tony, hold on, let me do this. Okay, quick pause. If you're watching this, like these two guys, if you think they're studs, I mean, they're good looking. But
well, I'm kind of like. I'm challenged by the sun. Right? We had to adjust the lighting just so that everybody else showed up normal.
Move the shading. The hue is off.
Yeah.
No. So, yeah, I like feel honored just being here. This is like fun jamming. So, tell me about what makes you unique as a sales rep. Like, I want to know the secret of how do you sell 714? Because everybody that's listening to this, 714 satellites, probably the equivalent to 400 alarms. 350 in that range. I mean, equivalent to pest control, 1,000 plus. I mean, that's like top percent, right?
For sure.
So if you're listening to this, from the perspective of I want to be a better salesperson, I guess my question would be like, what does it take to be that guy?
That's a hard question to answer, I guess. And honestly, I get asked that question all the time from people that even work at Dish One or not, or on Facebook, or I'll get hit up by like, hey, give me pointers on this sometimes. But I don't even feel like I'm worthy sometimes to even give them that. I just feel like my answer is always the same. Like if you ask me that question, my answer is going to be, I don't think it's something that I necessarily do other than just outwork everybody.
What does outworking everybody look like?
I mean, just literally I spend more hours on the doors than anybody at the company. I guarantee you I did.
So what time's your start time? What time's your end time?
I mean, obviously you have like a morning routine schedule, some sort of a power hour, gym time, eat, breakfast, and then, I guess I probably, in the summer, you'd start probably noon, 12, and you're on the doors till 9, 9:30. Competition days, 11 o'clock or whatever it takes to get it done.
How'd you run your meetings? Like what time are your meetings?
I think, what was it this time? More recently, probably, I think it was 10:30. We had our correlation, yeah.
So you go, how long is your correlation?
Beginning of the summer, it's longer. Toward the end, it's just kind of rocking out like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Pretty quick, because there's more veterans, so not a lot of classroom training, just kind of a goals, numbers, hoorah, little message, and then hit the doors.
And would you drive a car group out? Or are you kind of a solo guy? I'd take my own thing. Like,
I always drive people out. In fact, anyone that would be struggling, I'd take them with me. Whether it's because they need work on their pitch or because they just need to stay in the doors longer, and they know if they ride with me that they're going to have to. So
I use the same tactic.
Dude, I'm like,
they hated being in my car group because they knew we were the last one's home.
But they're either going to wait on the curb and wait for me, or they're going to not.
They're going to keep going.
Gotta make sure that you drop them off like not too close to a bar though, so they don't walk to the bar.
Yeah,
some of my guys.
Mickey D's. I hated that. My text would be like, "Hey, did you know Tommy was over at McDonald's for the last 3 hours?"
Yeah.
Right.
But it's like then they're at least they're alone with their thoughts, and instead of just like bugging someone else, because if they hit me up at 7:30 saying, "Hey, I got 2, I'm ready to go home," like that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, but if they may hit up another car driver, they might cave.
Then they'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's. Yeah, I mean, I'm literally the first one on the doors, last one off the doors.
We use a lot of group me, and I'm in a lot of the group me's in my division, and I can attest to that. So often it's, the day is done and everybody's saying good job or whatever it is, talking trash.
I was like,
and he texts in his last deal. So many times that throughout the summer, it's like Honea will text in the last deal, and I see it come through, and everybody's like, "Man, you're a beast." And I gotta say, there's something to that, because in his region, he's got, I think it's almost like 17% of his reps are 300 account reps, or 15% of his reps are 300 account reps for the summer. And so on the elite trip, even we had several reps for as small as your region is. We had several reps out there of his on that 300 plus account trip, and all of these guys feel like they're the king of the castle, right? But over the years of working with him, they respect him, and it's because of his relentless desire to just go out there and go hard, and it's not a pride thing. It's just, hey, I'm gonna, and he never asks people to do something he's not willing to do, and so he's earned the respect of people that, I mean, frankly, I don't think in the beginning even respected him at all.
Yeah.
But after working with him for a while, it's like, okay, I can respect a guy like this because he's willing to go out there and lead in the streets. And
there's something to say with that, like going back to I bled in the street with the guys. I was the William Wallace in the front, not the guy that's like go out and hustle, and that's earned your trust and loyalty probably with your people,
Yeah, for sure.
So everybody's always going to ask, so what's your pitch? What's the secret approach, right? And you probably have the same response as I do. It's the same thing that you said,
Yeah.
But that being said, oh man, that thing just stopped. That being said, I do want to kind of dive into, one thing I haven't done on camera. Oh, shiz. I'm going to pause this. Can I pause Facebook Live? Who's watching this? Here, talk to these people.
Okay. Tell them
what's not on.
It ran out of memory.
Oh,
tell them a story about
your sister.
I want to hear that.
Do you see how unprepared Sam is?
Tony, tell them a story about your sister.
No.
Oh, you want to tell him that?
Yeah, now.
Now you're on the spot. I don't know if that's. What's the average age again? 14?
No,
that's probably
it's
a bad.
The average age is way higher than 14.
Now this is
okay.
Before he had plausible deniability.
Awkward. Yep. Yo, see, Travis, you want to hear the story about? He said, "I want to hear the story about the sister."
Awkward.
I thought it wasn't working. What are you?
Well, he's still watching.
You're tagged in
Travis
this. Your sister's going to see this.
Travis is still watching this. This is still live, guys. So you got to keep YouTube entertained. See, look, I just got another like. He's like, come on,
tell
Dude,
the story.
I can't tell the story. I got family and stuff.
Nobody's watching this.
I thought you said it.
No, just Travis is watching it. We only have one viewer.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
and Mark. That's it.
Mark.
Oh, it just went off. All right.
Yeah,
sure.
Now you have plausible deniability. I didn't know it was on.
Seriously, kick out.
Should never told him about that story.
Fine, we'll not tell the story.
Maybe if I warm up to it later.
Somebody's gonna get some.
Oh,
private
he's scared to get
messages.
vulnerable.
Why don't you tell the story, Josh?
Why should I?
You're the one that did it.
You're the one that rated it.
What do you mean?
now you have to tell them. They're all pretty.
Okay, all right. I'll tell the story, bro. Geez, what year was that?
It was a long time ago. Let's just put
It
it
was
at that.
not
Like
long
high
enough
school,
to
like-
forget, but
Yeah.
it was he was dating my sister back in the day, just briefly. you know, and
long enough.
his ex, I always thought was hot before my sister, and I always, you know, whatever. He was like saying, "Hey, I'm talking to Kendall, you know, I'm talking to her again," and blah blah. And she sent me this picture, you know, she sent me a picture of her boobs. It's like, dude, send me the picture, bro. Like, what are you talking about? So I'm like, all right, dude, send it over or whatever. So he sends me this picture. I'm like, nice, dude. He's like, so you got to rate them. What would you say they are? I was like, well, you know, obviously considering, you know, they're, you know, whatever, I was like an 8.5 or I remember what I said. I was just like, oh, nice, you know, huh? And then didn't think anything about it. Like a couple days later, he texted me. He's like, hey, so you know those pictures of pictures of Kendall's boobs that you sent me? That wasn't Kendall's boobs, bro. That was your sister's. And I was like, what? Dude, are you serious?
This is the funniest story.
We're still friends today. I mean,
I love it. No, that brought you together. Like,
oh my god,
that brought you together.
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
I was like, dude, there's a line, and you just crossed it, bro. I didn't talk to him for like a couple days. It was just like a big
that was
deal.
like the longest we never talked.
I was like legitimately mad at you at that point.
That's awesome. Sorry, I had to dive into
So,
that
yeah.
just because I thought it was so funny.
I can't believe you let that out there. Your sister's never gonna forgive you.
I love it.
At least you didn't use her name. I noticed that. That was
she's
smart.
not watching this. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
She doesn't adore me.
I only have two sisters to choose from, so I was one of the two.
Okay. So moving on. Let's go into sales. That was a fun intro. So yeah, tell us your approach. I'm your customer. Yeah, I'll play customer. You play like narrator, and I'll play customer, and you play rep.
I mean, I pretty much do
Knock on my door. Don't tell me what you do. Show
the
me.
normal pitch. I'm just like,
I don't even know what the normal pitch is. Hey, how you doing?
hey man, super quick. We're gonna be out here next couple days doing a bunch of work with all the cable and DirecTV customers. I'm assuming you guys have one of those.
Is this like TV?
Yeah. You
Yeah,
guys
we have like
Comcast or
Netflix.
DirecTV.
Yeah, we're like Netflix and chill.
Okay, that's when I leave.
Oh, that's good to know. Cool. No, I'm always curious. That's why I want to give you the objection. Okay, let's go again.
I mean, I could try to sell you.
No. You leave. That's good to know. Next.
I'll try to sell you Sprint at that point.
Sprint. Okay, you switch them and sell them something different.
Yeah. I mean, we can sell Sprint, so you're not a real qualified buyer because you don't pay for TV, so
yeah.
I wouldn't try to sell
you. So you look
that.
for qualified buyers. That's
the same
that's
thing
like,
when you're hunting.
Yeah,
if
it's
you're,
like,
if you're elk
you...
hunting and you see a deer, you don't give up and go home. You just keep going until you find the elk. It's gonna be
and
there.
I think a lot of people get discouraged in those moments because they're like, and it was funny how you're just like, that's why I give up and leave. You're just not my customer.
Yeah.
And I think so many people don't realize, like, you just did more satellite than pretty much everybody out there, and you pass on deals.
Well,
you're
what
like,
you got to realize too is like, I just saved myself a ton of time right there. You know,
Yeah.
A lot of times too, if someone says they have dish, I'm like, oh crap, I have the wrong house. Sorry about that, man. I'm out. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and listen to them. Like,
that's how I do a
complain
renter.
about issues.
Here's my renter pitch.
Oh, the homeowner.
No, yeah, the homeowner.
Are you the homeowner?
No, I mean
The
the
homeowner.
homeowner.
Oh,
The homeowner. Oh, okay. No, but my renter is like, hey, oh, sorry, rent. Oh, we're just doing a survey. What's your favorite color? Blue? Cool. Thanks, man. See you later. It's just
wow.
they're like, what? Okay, and I'm out. You know, but that's the thing to say. Like, it's just how efficient are we at moving onto the elk? Like, how quickly can I go find the elk?
Yep.
So let's do another one. Ready? Hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, man? Hey, just real quick, I'm Josh. We're out here doing a bunch of work with the cable and DirecTV customers in the area. I'm guessing you guys have one of those.
Like TV?
Yeah,
of course
cable.
we
You
have
guys
TV,
Comcast
yeah.
or you have DirecTV?
We have Cox.
Cox. Okay. The biggest reason why we're still out here, a lot of the neighbors are.
Sorry. I had to pick Cox. This
Dude,
is like the R-rated podcast.
If it was a Cox neighborhood, I would know that. But
Okay, I have
would
Cox.
know that.
Oh, you know that. Okay,
Yeah.
Cox.
Oh, you like Cox or?
No, I have Cox.
Oh, you love Cox.
How many?
No, I'm just kidding. Just reason why we're out here, a lot of the neighbors are calling in, complaining, even threatening to cancel because the rates are so much higher now than when they
Okay.
first got started. I'm sure you can probably
Yeah,
relate
they
to
go
that.
up all the time.
Yeah, so obviously internet, TV, home phone, you got the whole
Yeah,
bundle.
it's all like wrapped together.
Okay, awesome. Are you still using the home phone?
No, they just said I had to have that.
Perfect. Okay, we hear that all the time. That's actually why we're here. So I'm guessing you have what, 2 or 3 TVs hooked up?
Yeah, 3 TVs.
3 TVs. Okay. And then you have the DVR, correct?
Yeah, like the record thing. We
Yeah,
never
you
really
guys-
use it, but yeah. it's
Okay,
like-
so couple TVs, DVR, internet. You should probably be what, about 140, 145?
it's like 135.
135. Okay. Well, do you know what it is with all the taxes and the extra fees and all that? Like probably close to about 200 or so.
Yeah, I don't know. My wife pays it. But
Okay.
honestly, like, we're super busy right now. Like, can you
Yeah.
just like leave us some information?
Well, I'm super busy too. That's actually like why we're actually still out here, like I was saying. So, do you get a copy of the bill in the mail or is it in an email?
I think it's just all on auto pay. Like I said, my wife does
Okay,
it.
and is your wife here or?
No. Well, maybe. I don't
Would it be
know.
okay to speak with her just real quick? Can you grab her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, it's not a good time.
Okay. When's a better time for you?
I don't know. Never. I mean, honestly, we just don't like buying from door-to-door people.
Okay. So you just don't like people, or?
No, just door-to-door. Like, we just, we don't know you. We'd rather just call.
Yeah, so I'm Josh. This is my badge right here.
Okay.
So, so could you grab the wife real quick? So she probably want to hear at least what we're talking about while we're out here.
Okay.
If you could just grab her real quick,
Yeah,
that'd be great. So.
Cool. Let's do another one. This is good. Like, no, but okay. So talk to me about some
You're
of the
being
things
a
you
dick
did.
customer,
I'm being
so.
a dick.
Yeah,
No,
you're
I
being a
wanted,
dick back, so.
I wanted to do it. No, this is interesting
Yeah.
though because I'm trying to be more realistic. Like, is it
Well,
not?
that does happen, and honestly, at that point, I would just mirror there. And
You
I'm
mirror 'em, like,
dude, sorry, man, like this is what I'm doing. So, like I said, can you grab your wife? Like that's
And I think it's so important that you touch on that because it's like you have to mirror personality, and I all of a sudden was like, oh, I respect that. Like, cool, yeah, I'll go grab her. Like, I'm sorry, I was being a dick. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Oh, I was trying to put on a front. You
Yeah.
just put on a front back. Like, cool, and now we're cool.
Yeah, and then now we're cool because it's like, hey, we're on that same level. Like, I'm not gonna take your crap, you're not gonna take my crap. Cool, we're men.
We're men.
Cool, let's pound it out. You know?
So what else did you do in that you felt? Like, I noticed, or what did you notice? I don't hear what you say. You're the narrator.
Definitely he mirrored. What was I going to say in the beginning? He's I like how he just pulled out the badge. What was the first thing?
He
The
said,
first
"I'm
objection-
super quick." You did it awesome on that. I said, "Hey,
when he said I'm too busy."
Yeah, I'm busy.
I love that part.
Your
'cause I was
response
like,
to "I'm busy."
Yeah,
it was
I'm super busy
immediate,
too. That's actually
supernatural.
why we're out here.
That was
yeah.
probably the best because that's the number one objection. Hey, we're really busy right now.
Yeah,
That's-
not a
you
good
get that
time.
all the
Oh
time.
yeah, I'm super busy too. It's not going to take a lot of time actually. So anyway, go on.
And just keep going.
Just
Yeah.
gave him the same objection back and then went forward with his pitch.
Yeah, that was
Well, that's
awesome.
how I deal with no soliciting signs half the time. They're like, yeah, did you see something? Oh, yeah, no, that's okay. The reason why we're out here is because blah, blah, blah. I just like, that's okay. And then that's all I address it.
Yeah, and so many times we make such a big deal of it. Oh, no, so
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
I'm not
I
selling
didn't see it.
anything.
I'm not selling anything. It's like, yeah.
I thought it said no
I'm like,
smoking.
yeah, no, that's okay. Like,
Heard them all. Like,
I thought it said no smoking.
yeah, but I mean, it's so funny because, like, so many times we get scared of objections when really they're like a complaint, right?
Smoke screen.
Yeah,
Well,
smoke screen.
you need objections. Like I've had sometimes where you don't get the objections, and they're just okay, well, cool. You got a card, and you got it nowhere because you didn't actually.
You
Find
don't have
out
any
what-
ammo.
Yeah, you don't have.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're doing. You're just blazing from
Or
the
they
hip.
cancel after they sign up.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
just
Oh,
too easy.
those
The
are
pushovers.
those are the worst.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you never said anything this whole time.
And the whole
these
time you know
signs."
they're gonna do
Yeah,
that.
you're
so
like, what? You almost want to be like, talk, dang it! Like,
Yeah.
say something.
Yeah.
Give me something. Tell me an objection. Tell me to leave. Okay,
Mhm.
thank you. So, so tell me a little bit about what goes through your mind when you're getting like beat up, like I was doing with you. Like, what mentally do you do to kind of like play it cool, keep your thing?
I just try to put myself in their shoes. Honestly, like they're trying to get rid of me, right? So I'm just not gonna let that happen. I'm gonna meet them on their level, and I'm gonna be stern, just if they're stern. Just mirror the customer. And I mean, my conviction's gonna outweigh yours until you slam the door in my face, or I'm gonna sell you. So
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen. Like
And I think
with that customer,
what's so funny is I think what makes the difference between and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you've been top reps and both you guys, and so if you had a rep, like a first year rep, the difference between that guy that thinks he's going the extra mile, like getting enough no's, like the difference between him and you and your conviction to like stay there and keep going, where would you say like the difference is there?
I guess it's just experience. I mean, I've done it for a long time, and I fully believe that I have the best product out there, and that everybody should have it. And if you have an objection, that's fine. We'll deal with it. An objection is a real thing. That's people have an objection. They have I have objections about when I bought my car. I had objections about that. Like, it's a real thing. So treat it like a real person and address the concern and overcome it, and then you've got a customer. Like,
Yeah. Because what's the most common thing a rep would do in those situations? Like, what do you feel like? Where do you feel like reps go wrong when it comes to objections?
They
Stammer and don't address it. Like they just sort of like give them in that situation. Oh, you're too busy. When's a good time to come back?
Yeah.
They don't even try to. No, I'm super busy too. Like you had to give him you're too busy like 3 times.
Yeah.
Until he said finally he did say when's a better time? And you're like I don't know, never. And it's like. And we don't know we just don't like buying from door to door. Then he got down to the real objection. The real objection wasn't I'm too busy. It's just more like I don't like door to door. Then he made you identify, is it people you don't like? And it's like, oh, it's just door to door. We don't know who you are.
And you had to build some trust and
okay,
credibility
where's my
with
badge?
me.
This is who I am. Let's take a step back. Like I understand what you are. I'm here to do a job too. So let's figure this out together.
Yeah.
Now we got that out. So let's
let's be men and do business now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what about you? Like, what are some of your takes on objections? Like, what do you feel like helps overcome the objection? Where do you feel like, if you had to give advice to a first-year rep that's looking to, like, overcome some of maybe the common objections in satellite or door-to-door?
It's everything he did right there was just persistence. Really, it comes down to building that rapport. You're building comfortability with the customer. Whenever I knock with, I don't even have a pitch anymore. I just generally make friends with people, and at this point, and I earn trust and sell them an account. I don't know. I think after a while, I think even our CEO, Mike Hammond, when he goes out, everybody says, I don't know, he just sort of like talks to people and then sells them an account every time. I don't know, you still have the same objections, but you just identify it and overcome it, keep being persistent. So many times I knock with reps these days, and they give it too much validity, that first objection or that third objection. It's like if a customer doesn't tell you no 5 times, then you weren't doing your job. Your job is to get as many no's as you can at every single door, and if you're not, barring the whole, hey, I'm a streamer, I don't pay for TV, you should have some sort of a one-liner for that guy, and like saying, hey, if I can give you a TV service for $50 with ESPN, is it worth it to you or not? Are you a sports guy or not? Basically, that's all you're asking, because some people you're identifying if that customer left it over price or preference or something like that, and some people miss having ESPN, so they'll pay for TV at that point.
That's awesome. So if you're watching this on live or listening to this, I want to hear some of your guys' comment on here, a one-liner that is your go-to one-liner in the objection of, let's say, not interested or too busy or do you have a card? Because I don't care what you're selling, you're going to get those objections. You know what I mean? Like, I guess what are some of your guys' go-to one-liners? I'll fire off an objection. You guys give me your favorite one-liner.
Okay.
Not interested.
Not interested in what?
Yeah.
Whatever
just,
you're.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
You're doing.
Well, I was going to explain that. So just give me a sec. So anyway, while I'm out here.
Boom. Okay. Do you have a card?
We don't use cards. We do emails. You have an email address, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's exactly what this is all about.
That was a way cool redirect.
Yeah.
It's like perfect. That's what this is all about, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
Cool. We're just in the middle of dinner right now. Honestly, you caught us at a bad time.
Okay. What's a better time to come back?
Probably like maybe tomorrow.
Okay, so I'm actually going to be out here till about 9:30 tonight. I'm sure you guys will be done with dinner by then. Probably a little more relaxed, a little better time for you. What if I came back
That's
8?
We're putting the kids to bed. I mean, tonight's just not.
Okay.
Maybe I don't
Well, I'll
know.
give you the quick version then. Okay. So anyway, this is what we're
Boom! I'll give you the quick version. And is it the same version you were going to give them anyway?
Yeah.
Write that down.
He'll be there for 3 hours.
Exactly. It's like, but it's so funny. It's like
not leave until the tech gets there.
Yeah, exactly. You're then playing Risk on your iPad, like hanging out with them.
sometimes like
Hey, you want to play a quick game?
Quick game.
I had a rep that did that.
the best is like when they're like, oh, we're making dinner right now. Oh, no, thanks, I'm not hungry. So anyway, we're just
That's a good one.
It actually does work.
Okay, how about this? You're like the 10th guy that's come by this year. Like, honestly, I'm sick of satellite. I'm happy with the company. Stop coming. You're like, I've heard it over and over again.
I'd always just, I always identify as something different. I was like, a lot of the other guys have been out here. You probably noticed them. We're actually from corporate. They sent us out here to help you guys just because a lot of times they aren't giving you the right information. You guys said you have Cox, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Like I said, corporate sent us out here to help you guys out. So it's
Perfect. So it's just like making yourself unique
yeah.
instead of just like every other guy.
Yeah, I always use that. I'm from corporate.
Corporate.
I don't identify. I just say I'm from corporate.
That's cool. And corporate can mean whatever they want. It's like whatever, but it sounds important. It's like, oh, okay, corporate sent me.
You guys. Well, I always just say you guys are with whatever they provide. You guys are with DirecTV. Assumptive. If you're assuming who they have, you guys are with DirecTV, right? Perfect. That's like what I'm here for. It's like corporate sent us out. You guys are with DirecTV, right? Perfect. That's corporate sent us out. That's exactly what we're here for.
Cool.
So it's like at that point you have all the legitimacy in the world.
I love it. Okay, so we kind of got to wrap up due to time. This has been fun. This has been a fun podcast. I like having 3 of us because we kind of like get a banter. One piece of advice from each of you, if you had to give to the whole door-to-door industry, now you can direct it towards rep or you can direct it towards a leader. What piece of advice would you give them?
Well, maybe never limit yourself. I mean, I came into this thing like, okay, fine, I'll answer the phone on the side, and have never really, except for messing around installing and selling a few deals, never really thought sales was that big of a thing for me, and then it changed my life. So, I mean, I guess apply yourself 100%, be relentless in your job, and you just don't let any limitations stop you, because it can seriously change your life.
I think we always have like a wall right here instead of looking like this. It's just like pathetic. Like we still do it us, like, you know what I mean? Like we still have limits that we can't even imagine. So that's crazy good advice.
I love telling guys to stop treating this like a sales rep, and treat it like your business. Stop thinking like a sales rep, start thinking like a business owner, because essentially in sales, whether you're a rep or any other position, you really are a business owner at that point. And your job as a business owner isn't necessarily to sell bug spray or alarms or whatever it is. Your job is to generate revenue and provide opportunity.
Well, it's crazy. Today I was jamming with this roofer guy, runs a multi-million-dollar sales company, and he's like, hey, I got to get off at 2, and I have a call. I was like, okay. He's like, I got a demo to give. And, he's got a whole floor of salespeople, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm coming in, CEO, and does a sales call. And he's like, like you never lose that. Sales is the foundation of, like, business.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you treat it like that, and I think, and also one thing that I'm trying to embody with this whole podcast is, like, if you're a first-year sales guy listening to this, hopefully you can start to see 5 years ahead of yourself by some of the people we've been interviewing, like you guys, and saying, wow, I need to imagine myself then, because then the decisions I'll make today will be a lot different than if I just imagine myself as a sales rep forever. Exactly.
How many times have you said to yourself, man, if I'd have known what I know now.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, so many mistakes. Obviously, these mistakes are great, but
it's part of the journey. But it's like
you could have applied this knowledge as a business owner, or an entrepreneur, more of an entrepreneur, I guess. Like, we're always entrepreneurs as door-to-door reps, right? But, like, really applying that spirit to what you were doing in the beginning.
Yeah.
How powerful is that?
It's huge.
Like, how much further ahead of the curve would you be? I think when I started, it was a little bit more bush league. It wasn't as, like, today we have, can't knock this. It's crazy how the communication has changed between industry or between, different products or in the industry alone. It's way more legitimate. There's way more opportunity to grow and do something never done before. Whereas before you were limited to, we didn't have, the social media wasn't like it is.
Yeah, you had your training manual, if that.
Yeah.
Good luck, guys.
And a binder.
Yeah.
And a folder. Yeah, it was like most of the guys that I worked for had never knocked doors before in their lives, and they didn't understand it at all. And it's like, how awesome is it that nowadays it's like there's so much knowledge out there that's being shared between everybody. Really, if you have the work ethic, you can do anything. Whether no matter what product you're selling, it doesn't really matter. You can make it. You can make it successful. It's like, it's not alarms that make you successful, or pests that makes you successful, or satellite that makes you successful. It's you that make those industries successful.
Wow.
And we could do anything if we really wanted to.
I like the quote,
That's
like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
100%. Yeah. Well, let's wrap on that. That was just deep. Dove deep. Love that. Okay, so thank you guys for being on the show. Like, DDD Podcast is just, every day it surprises me. We learn new fun stories, new fun tips, new one-liners. Give us that last one-liner that I just love.
Which one?
The ass one.
Oh, yeah. You just don't
this, hey, don't get the cops called on you, but this is great. I loved it.
Yeah, when they're, like, tuning out, you can tell it's going nowhere, and you're just messing around at that point, I just tell them, like, so it's only $40 a month. You don't figure your ass too much, right? And they're like, what? Like, I said, it's only $40 a month. You don't figure we ask too much, right? And they're like, no, you're fine.
It's so good. Anyway, so this is the R-rated podcast version. I love it. But thank you guys. Share this if you liked it. This one got raw. I love it. So like these guys, they're awesome leaders in the satellite space. Josh Sluyther and Josh Honea. Peace out.